Alright, so previously we've talked about how to use the quadratic formula in order to find the zeros or the solutions of a quadratic equation. We also talked about completing the square, and now what we're going to do is we're going to show where this formula actually comes from. What we're going to do is we're going to start with our quadratic equation, which, if you remember, our standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c. Now we said we want to solve this, so we have to set it equal to 0. Well, in order to take our first step, this a is a little bit of a problem. But what we can do is divide both sides of the equation by a. And remember, when we do that, we're actually dividing each term. So our a's here cancel, and 0 divided by a is still just 0. So we're going to rewrite, and we have b divided by a times x. Oh, sorry about that. We have x squared plus b divided by ax plus c divided by a equals 0. So if we want to solve this, we're going to move this ca to the other side. We'll have x squared plus b divided by ax equals negative c over a. So we had to subtract it from each side. Well, as we did before for completing the square, we take our b term, which is now b divided by a, we divide it by 2, and then we're going to square it, which in fractions means we're going to square the top, so it becomes b squared, and our bottom becomes 4a squared. Now we have to take this, and we're going to add it to each side of our equation. So we have x squared plus b divided by ax plus b squared over 4a squared equals b squared over 4a squared minus c over a. Remember, from completing the square, we can simplify this side of the equation. And that has to equal this side. B squared over 4a squared minus c over a. Now, I want to simplify this side of the equation a little bit. I'd really like to make that into one term. So what I have to do is multiply, or figure out what the least common denominator of these two fractions would be. In this case, it's pretty straightforward. We have a 4a squared, and on this side we just have a. So if I multiply this one times 4, I'll get a 4a. But if I multiply by 4a, I'll get 4a squared. So I can get b squared over 4a squared. And like we said, we're going to multiply the top and the bottom by 4a. And this will give us 4ac as we multiply directly. And then we'll multiply directly for our denominator, and we'll get 4a squared. Now I can simplify this, and I have b squared minus 4ac all over 4a squared. And again, this has to be equal to our original perfect square. And now we want to find our zeros. So we're going to take the square root of each side, and we'll be left with, oh, there shouldn't be a squared on that, x plus b over 2a equals positive and negative the square root of all of this up here. So b squared minus 4ac all over 4a squared. Now if you remember, when we're doing the square roots of fractions, we can take the square root of the top and the square root of the bottom. And the nice thing about that is 4 is a perfect square. A squared is also a perfect square. So we have a positive negative still, but our square root is now just in the numerator. Our denominator is just 2a. Now our numerator is still the square root of b squared minus 4ac. Now if you notice, it looks like we're almost done. In fact, once we bring this over, we already notice we have a common denominator between these. So since we're almost at the end of the paper, we're just going ahead and we'll subtract that. When we do subtract it, that becomes a negative b. We have a common denominator already. The square root of b squared minus 4ac. And that's it. We've derived the quadratic formula from the standard form for a quadratic equation using completing the square. Now, it's good practice to go ahead and do this for yourself. So, at this point, go ahead and work out for yourself from just the standard form, derive the quadratic formula. And work this out in your own notes to make sure you have all the steps working with your partner.